Is there a cheap Mini 3 Pro on the way? The steady flow of DJI leaks from the usual Twitter accounts has been fairly steady this year, and now with releases like the Avata and Action 3 out of the way, could we be soon to see a more affordable basic model of the DJI Mini 3 Pro coming? Could it be as soon as the next couple of months? Today we're going to discuss this and look at what a non-Pro or SE version of the Mini 3 might actually look like. For a few weeks now, the various Twitter accounts that bring us DJI leaks, otherwise known as cheap marketing for DJI, have been discussing the potential of an affordable Mini 3 Pro that will lack some of the functionality of the popular drone, but then also be available at a lower price and therefore make it more affordable for a wider audience. Suggestions have surrounded the obstacle avoidance system and whether an affordable version might, without OA, make a difference for a lot of current buyers, as they'll obviously be able to release it at a lower price. And it might also be attractive to those people looking to upgrade from the Mini 2. Before we continue, let me know in the comments if you'd be tempted by a more affordable version of the Mini 3, albeit with less spec, and whether you would be upgrading from a Mini 2 or similar, or whether or not you would be buying this as your first drone. I'd be very interested to know the types of markets that might be interested in a Mini 3 SE, I suppose we might call it. Also, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button for more drone content, including leaks and rumor videos. We'll get that bit out of the way. A more affordable version of a mini drone isn't anything new, of course. We already have seen the Mini SE, which is a cheaper version of the Mini 2. The main differences there are bringing together the basic specs of the original Mavic Mini together with the body and props of the Mini 2 to produce a more affordable 2.7K video capable drone. Now that is a very simplistic way of looking at the Mini SE, but in basic terms, that really is what it is. There are significant differences in the camera and the signal strength, with the SE only getting a basic Wi-Fi connection as opposed to the OcuSync goodness of the Mini 2. This is where I begin to wonder a little about a Mini 3 SE, or whatever you might call it. The Mini and Mini 2 had no distinctive differences in the outer shell, and therefore you could easily produce a Mini 2 shell with more basic innards. With the Mini 3 Pro, however, if you remove the obstacle avoidance capabilities, you end up with a shell that looks distinctly, well, odd. They would need to plug the holes here with plastic or something, which sounds simple and cheap enough to do, but it would look a little unsightly and remind purchasers constantly of the spec they're not going to be getting. It doesn't feel very clean DJI to me. Could we see DJI produce a new shell for the cheaper drone? That would be a decent amount of cost in terms of R&D, and it would mean that they think that they're going to sell a lot of units of the Mini 3 SE. The other thing we have to ask is whether or not the removal of the avoidance sensors would produce enough of a cost saving to make a cheap Mini 3 cheap enough to prompt mass sales. If not, what else would you sacrifice to get a cheaper drone? Let me know in the comments below what else you think DJI could cut out of the Mini 3 Pro to make it more affordable. For me, I struggle to see what else they could really do. Certainly, there would be no point in downscaling the camera or sensor, because that's really what makes this drone. And again, this would take R&D cost and time, as there isn't an existing lower spec camera to fall back on in the same way they had with the original Mavic Mini camera that ended up in the Mini SE. The key is to reduce specification in such a way as to not make the new drone more expensive to develop or produce. Otherwise, it would defeat the purpose for both DJI and the consumer. There are many reasons why I think that there will not be an SE non-Pro version of the Mini 3, but I'm also aware of the online discussions regarding the possibility and how many people out there seem to be keen on one. We all know how effective DJI at maximizing every niche their products can reach. So if it is possible and makes financial sense to them, it will certainly happen. This type of model release is also supported by the rumors surrounding drones like the Mavic 3 Classic, as some people are calling it, which would see the drone released with just the cinematic camera, dropping the zoom camera bit, and therefore making the drone much more affordable. It makes sense, and in many ways more sense than a non-Pro Mini 3 would make to me. But that's just me. Either way, it will be interesting to see if we get an affordable model based on the Mini 3 Pro and what it looks like in terms of specification. We will, of course, keep you fully up to date on anything substantial we hear on this, so stay tuned to Geeksvana. Sean out.